Welcome to Maddox News, guys. This is the fifth episode, fifth installment. I wouldn't say it's a slow news week, but it's definitely a tragic one. We're going to start out this week talking about the Parkland shooting. This is a big story. I think over 17 people were killed at a high school in South Florida. And then we're going to talk about the Russian bots. Russia's up to their shenanigans again. They're trying to spam pro-gun messages to Twitter and trying to get that trending. Then we got Dipshit who wants some attention. We're going to give him some. And then we have the first ever. We're going to have a caller call in. It's actually Producer Stan. Producer Stan has been helping out with the show for quite a while. He's actually a newscaster himself. So we're going to have him call in, and we're going to talk about the Parkland shooting. Specifically with regards to the gun debate as well, because I think that's a really big topic. Then we also have a story about a woman IDing her suspects that killed her on her deathbed. Very fascinating story, and she's a hero. She's fucking badass. I'm going to show you guys a picture. And then finally, we'll round out the show with calls to boycott the Peter Rabbit movie over food allergies. But let's get to the first story. The FBI botched a tip. The FBI said it failed to act on a tip about the suspected Florida school shooter's potential for violence. This is a big story, guys. The Florida governor is calling on the head of the FBI to resign after the agency failed to investigate a tip about the school shooter, even though it had received one. Attorney General Jeff Sessions, maybe eager to discredit the agency investigating his boss, added that Wednesday was a tragic consequence of the FBI's failure to follow up on the tip. Cruz posted verbatim that he was going to be a professional school shooter. Now, Cruz is the guy who actually shot up the school. And this is interesting. This is from NPR. Now, notice here the time it was updated at 8:40 p.m. Eastern, right? So the headline on NPR and all the different news outlets were talking about how the FBI botched this tip. It says here, the FBI says that someone called its tip line to report concerns about Nicholas Cruz, who has told police he killed 17 people in Florida high school this week, but that the Bureau failed to follow protocols to assess the threat. Now, this is important here. It says the Bureau says a person close to Cruz contacted the FBI's public access line on January 5th to report concerns about him. Now, this update, remember this update here. Check this out. Originally, the story said that he contacted them on January 8th. They issued a correction for January 5th. So they even had more time than what they were originally reporting. The FBI issued a statement on their website. They said, under established protocols, the information provided by the caller should have been assessed as a potential threat to life. Yeah, no shit. The information then should have been forwarded to the FBI Miami field office, where appropriate investigative steps would have been taken. We have determined that these protocols were not followed for the information received by the PAL, I guess that's their alert system, on January 5th. The information was not provided to the Miami field office, and no further investigation was conducted at that time. That's the official statement on the FBI's website. Now, a lot of people after 9/11 came familiar with this phrase, see something, say something. Well, in this case, they did, and the FBI didn't do anything about it. Now, it's easy to kick the FBI around here because obviously they botched this. They botched this huge tip they didn't follow up on. And it turns out, I think the FBI looked at a comment on YouTube, but couldn't determine who posted it. The FBI, of all people. So the question is, did they just fuck up? Is this a bad job that they did? Well, I mean, clearly, yes. But is it because they have low morale? Because, some people are speculating that Trump is always coming down on the FBI. So morale may be low, or maybe it may be due to lack of funding. This is where it gets really interesting. I generally don't like to cover politics, and this isn't a really political story. But it's interesting to see that when people criticize the FBI for not doing a good job, and people come down on the FBI and they're skeptical of the FBI, it does one of two things. It reduces morale, and also discourages politicians from funding the FBI. Once we politicize our security agencies, then everything is fucked, because nobody trusts our government to do anything for us anymore. And whether or not you believe government should do anything for us in the first place is a different story. But speaking of different stories, Russian bots are promoting pro-gun messages after Florida school shootings. This just happened, actually. Russian bots are using a 2016 tactics to hijack the gun debate on Twitter. Now, this comes at an interesting time because just today, 13 Russians were indicted for their involvement in the 2017. What the fuck year is it? 2017. How many years has Trump been in office? I can't fucking tell. Feels like every week has a month worth of headlines. It's crazy. Anyway, whenever the election happened, I think 2016, the Russians meddled and 13 people were indicted today. Fuck it. Here's your news. We should cover this story, though. By using thousands of bots, foreign agents are able to take control of conversations or cause certain terms to trend, and have been with the latest school shooting massacre. In this situation, human-controlled bots are pushing a pro-gun agenda, believe it or not. Now, this is kind of interesting because a lot of people speculate, why would Russia try to push a pro-gun agenda? Well, if you look into any type of PSYOP operations, like we have done in Iran during the 1976 Cultural Revolution, well, before that, actually, to instate a Shah, or a ruler, that was favorable to the United States. One of the ways the CIA did that is infiltrating their country with operatives who would then sow the seeds of discord. Now, this sounds like conspiracy dipshit type stuff, but it's actually not. There's a lot of history. There's a lot of unclassified documents that have come out about this, and you can look it up. It's very interesting stuff. It's something that countries do to one another sometimes to cause chaos, because they know this is a very contentious issue. And those 13 Russians that were indicted today, turns out that one of the things they were doing is telling people to show up at pro-Trump rallies and anti-Trump rallies simultaneously. Now, the reason they do that is obviously they want there to be, again, discord. They want there to be chaos and riots and people upset at each other, because when you have a divided nation, it's a weaker nation. Anyway, that's the short of it. Moving on, we've got a dipshit who wants attention, so we're going to give it to him. This guy, turns out a dipshit white supremacist tried to fool the media by claiming the Florida shooter was a member of his militia. And in fact, I was guilty of spreading this fucking story because it came out in the hours after the shooting. And like, many people, we thought this was a real story because this guy was claiming, I think he called the ADL, and he was claiming that he took credit for this Cruz guy who shot up the school. His name is Jordan Jareb. He told the AP Thursday that the group of Republic of Florida, which wants Florida to become its own white ethno-state, was home to school shooting suspect Nicholas Cruz. Then he said that he had trouble with a girl and believed the timing of the attack wasn't a coincidence, being on Valentine's Day. The only problem is, he was lying. That's right, this dipshit with a face like that was lying. This group, again, was called the Republic of Florida, ROF. Jareb, according to the New York Times, later stated that he did not know whether that was true. When you're a disgusting piece of shit racist, credibility isn't exactly something you're worried about, obviously. An officer with the Leon County Sheriff's Office in Tallahassee said that he arrested Jareb at least 4 times since 2014 and closely monitors the group's membership. He said 19-year-old Cruz was not a member. Now, this is kind of interesting. This is from the ADL website. Now, the ADL has been monitoring this guy for a long time because Jareb has been contacting the ADL trying to get attention, desperately. This is an interesting quote from an article on the ADL website. It says, Jareb was a weird character, even in the extremist underworld to which he so badly wanted to belong. While almost every neo-Nazi, militiaman, nativist, and racist despises intelligence report, Jareb wanted desperately to be mentioned in these pages. He flooded us with pleas for attention. In one email, this dipshit, he even included a manual titled Jackass Warfare, How Punk Kids Could Destroy an Oppressive Government. Wow. Way to rage against the machine, dumbass. filled with ways to blow things up and descriptions of how legally being an asshole can change the world. Fucking idiot. All these guys, they all fit the same type of profile. Like, these losers think that they're incredibly distrustful of the government, of any authority, and they think they know better. These are the alternate medicine types. These are the people who, the 9/11 people, Sandy Hook truthers, pizza gators. The list goes on and on with these morons. Anyway, turns out that it was fake. He had nothing to do with the school shooter. He was trying to take credit for it, though. This is something kind of interesting, too, with this taking credit of the school shooters, the school shootings, rather. I remember when I was in 4th grade, one of my teachers, I think it was, there was a terrorist attack on a plane. This was before 9/11, a while ago. Not that long ago. Save your old jokes, shitheads. Which, by the way, if you guys have any super chats, I appreciate them. Keep them coming. We got one from Brandon King for $2. Thank fuck for $2. But anyway, back to the story. Thank you guys. Thank you for the super chats. But back to the story real quick. There was a terrorist attack on a plane when I was in 4th grade. And multiple terrorist groups, I think Hezbollah was one of them, and I forget the others, but they came out and they took credit for this attack. And as a kid, I was kind of confused. I asked my teacher, I said, why would anyone take credit for this attack? It's atrocious. Well, it furthers their group's agenda. It makes them seem more powerful. It makes them seem more important. And it gets their message out. So sometimes people will glom onto outrageous stories and make outrageous claims just because they want attention. That's actually the reason I stopped covering PETA a long time ago. Because PETA employs these tactics and strategies. Greenpeace does too, actually. There was what are those lines called in South America? Fucking Aztec. You know, the Aztec lines. The aerial lines. The Peru. That's Peruvian lines. Yeah, the Peruvian Nazca lines, whatever. Greenpeace was out there trying to send a message to the United Nations telling them that it's time to change, except in doing so, they stomped out some of these designs. These thousands of years old designs that were drawn into the dirt so that you could see the symbols from the air. Mysterious symbols. Anyway, we should get to the first live caller we've ever had on the show. It's Stan, the producer. Let me loop in Stan here.
Hey, it's good to hear you, dude.
There you go, Stan. Let's see if we can get you on screen. There it is, Stan. So Stan the man. Stan the man. Everybody say hello and thank you to Stan. He's been producing this from Arkansas. Stan, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you very much, sir. I appreciate being here and enjoy the cup of coffee too. I hope it's good and I hope it's extra strong because if it's not,
this is my third, buddy.
Okay, that's what I was hoping because I haven't had at least 3 yet, but I'm wanting to have an intravenous hooked up of them pretty soon. Hey, news means that you got to be having coffee constantly. That's what news is.
Stan, we got a comment. I think the audio on your end is a little bit loud. Let's see if we can turn that down just a little bit. Let's see. I might be able to fix it on my end. Can you give it a shot?
Yeah, I don't know that I can.
Here.
I think the audio may be coming through low for a lot of people on YouTube, so that could be affecting it.
Fucking A. Here, how about this? Give us a test, Stan.
Testing, 1 2, testes, 1 2, testes.
All right, the audio sounds like it's a little bit better. Okay, let's get to this story though. The big headline this week was the Parkland shooting and how the FBI botched it up. What do you think of that? Do you think that it is a fact that morale is lower at the FBI because our administration is constantly coming down on them? Is it possible that they need more funding? What do you think the problem is with this Parkland shooting? Why did the FBI not follow up and catch this guy?
I think that's the scariest question to ask because the answer is very hard to find. And you look at a situation where the main narrative for law enforcement is send us tips, tell us more about what's going on, give us information. And when somebody did that and somebody followed all the rules, there still wasn't law enforcement. And so, you know, what needs to be done? Well, for starters, for sure, you've got to consider you may have a morale issue. But on the same side, too, they have to deal with scrutiny a lot, probably not usually from the president. It's just I would hate to imagine an office full of people discouraged caused this, and yet something did. So, yeah, it's a tough answer to narrow down and to find out. But the fact that the FBI come out with that statement and they admitted we made a huge mistake. It's just not something you don't hear that often. You don't really hear that often. And so, you have the Florida governor calling on the FBI director to resign. I mean, is that going to fix this? I don't know. He's a Trump appointee. So it's a very weird situation, folks. It's really weird.
Yeah, it's a very strange situation. I know they're asking for the FBI director to resign. I think that the last thing you want to do right now, the FBI fucked up. Everybody agrees. But the last thing you want to do is have the director step down, because all it's going to do is, again, introduce more chaos. First of all, to find someone qualified for the FBI director job is no easy feat. You have to have a lot of clearance, a lot of experience. You have to know the ins and outs of security and law enforcement. So to replace someone like that at a time when the FBI is already clearly having problems, I don't think now's the time to do it. If this guy's going to resign, let him do it maybe a couple months down the line, right before the next school shooting happens. I think that's the ideal time to replace the FBI director. What do you think, Stan? You're
not gonna have the ability to resign right now and have anything effective come of that, because you're going to, number one, we're right in the middle of an investigation. Whether you like it or not, I know a lot of people instantly are triggered by hearing the Russian investigation, but we're right in the middle of that. You can't take this nation's top law enforcer out and then appoint somebody else in his place and expect that to get approval without there being some really major questions, sort of, the kind of questions that probably will have to do with, are you going to interfere on the president's behalf? And so it's probably not going to happen, as far as that goes.
Probably not. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's probably not. By the way, guys, if you want to call in to this show and join the debate, I'm actually taking some DMs on Twitter. DM stands for direct message, not double mastectomy, whatever the fuck it would stand for. If you guys want, send me a message on Twitter. If you aren't a dipshit, I may add you to this conversation. But Stan, thank you for joining us. I'm gonna put you. Let's put you on mute again. We'll go back to the rest of the news stories, and we'll check in later on in the show. I'm also going to be reading your super chats. I still got a ton of super chats coming in. Thank fuck for $2. Thank you, thank fuck for $2. And let's see, we've got. Oh, here. You know what? Let's read some comments too. We've got some comments on screen. Let's see. Lol, says Juan Cruz. Okay, thank you, Juan, for that insightful comment. We've got one from Phil Butt, says, Maddox, internet legend, triple OG, amen to that. Ali Alden, let's see, Ali Alden for $5, before I move on, this is a super chat, says, Maddox, been following you since the blogs. Keep it up, man. Stay golden. I don't have a choice, Ali. I'm always golden. Pavch Babin, $2, says, Cowabunga. Thank you, Pavch Babin. That's the real Christian atheist. Maxwell Wilson for $1 says nothing, but thank you. Thank you for the super chat. Here's another comment. We've got one from Alan Dio. He says, how is that different than all the then? It's then, Alan Dio. How's that different than all the fake posts by lobbyists for just about any other policy on the Russian bot issue? Well, the fake posts by lobbyists, I think the difference is lobbyists fundamentally, at least, are American. I mean, whether or not you agree with the Russian bot thing, that it's a bigger problem, the Russian lobbyists are trying to destroy this country. They're trying to weaken this country, whereas lobbyists are just trying to push their agenda, which ultimately is usually to make more money for the company or organization they're representing. That's how it's different. Here's another comment. We've got one from RB Little. Says, your background needs more spinning globes. Does it, RB Little? Or are you being sarcastic? Because I don't appreciate sarcasm, RB Little. All right, got another comment here. Gravity Caress says, probably not a white supremacist, but a MAGA hat-wearing dumbass. I heard that as well. I heard those rumors that this guy was wearing MAGA hats. I wasn't sure if that was like a political spin that people were trying to do. Regardless, Undernet says, that face is a dead giveaway of his dipshittiness. Dipshitness. I think it's dipshittiness. Dipshittiness is the word. And we've got one more comment. This is from Chris Monroe. He says, laughing my ass off, Maddox dropping fact bombs. That's right, Chris Monroe. You're welcome. All right, we'll get to some more of your comments in a minute. We got to move on to the news stories, the rest of the news stories. This is about a 19-year-old woman IDs losers who killed her from her deathbed. This story is amazing. Look at this. Look at this chick. Her name is Lizette Cuesta. A Californian woman named Lizette Cuesta. It's C-U-E-S-T-A, Cuesta. Anyway, she's a hero. She got stabbed and left for dead on the side. I shouldn't be laughing. This is fucking awful. This story is really fucking awful. She got stabbed and left for dead on the side of a highway. In her dying breath, she ID'd the suspects who killed her. She was so bloody when passers-by found her that they couldn't even tell her hair color. And they even thought her arm was missing. In fact, in the 911 call, one of the callers said that she was missing an arm. Now, one of the interesting things about this article, and this woman, no doubt, was a hero. She was left on the side of the road in the cold. She crawled back to the side of the road where I think 4 UPS delivery guys who were, I think, on their way home from work saw her, stopped, and called the paramedics. And she was flown to a nearby hospital. 2 hours later, she died, and in her dying breath, she gave this testimony about the people who assailed her. But the comments on this news story are something else. Check this out. The comments are mind-blowing. This is from foxnews.com. This guy says, on average, illegal aliens commit 15 murders a day, and then he cites his source, DHS DOJ 2016, and the liberals are okay with that. Yeah, liberals. Why are you okay with murder? Liberals. Libtards. I love how he cites the DHS and DOJ 2016. Nice. No links or anything. We got another comment from this guy. It says, Evan Seymour on Fox. This is FoxNews.com. Says, looks like the liberal communists are getting upset whenever someone calls out the truth regarding illegals killing Americans, either by murder or drunk driving without a license. This is the garbage the Democrats want to bring into this beautiful country just to get more votes. These snowflakes, and he capitalizes the word S, the letter S in snowflakes, proper noun, of course, are so gullible they can't see the truth when someone points it out. They call you a racist or a bigot. Bigot, again, capitalized proper noun. Here's another comment. T. Washington, 1960, says, want to bet they are illegals? Yeah, I'll take you up on that, T. Washington. Oops. Yeah. This is the guy. His name is Daniel Gross, you dipshits. Fucking idiots. Turns out the reason that this guy killed this woman, he gave a long story to one of the news reports. He's arrested now, thankfully. It was him and his girlfriend or some acquaintance. I guess they got in an argument because his girlfriend was extremely jealous. She has a few kids. As you can tell, Lizette was a total babe and a hero. Anyway, the argument escalated, and he said he snapped and killed her. Not an illegal immigrant. So, put that in your pipe and smoke it. But this is one last comment I want to read from this Fox News article. This is pretty incredible. This lady, I forget her name, I think it was Duty or something. She says, there is no fear of God before their eyes. Romans 3:18. Good thing we removed those Bibles from the classrooms. ... Exclamation mark. I shudder to think that they may have had to think twice before doing this unthinkable act upon this young girl. ... Exclamation mark. like she pauses before she's surprised. We have been reaping what we have allowed to be sown into the minds of our children, and the crop is rotten to the core. ... Exclamation mark. And then in parentheses, hello? Oh, man. What a moron. Anyway, we got a couple other news stories left. Oh, this is from Peter Rabbit. So there have been calls to boycott Peter Rabbit. But before we get to that, I'm going to read a couple more comments and super chats. We've got a comment. Oh, first of all, super chat from Fane says, thanks for supporting Stoneman Douglas's Victims Fund. Oh, Stoneman Douglas Victims Fund. I assume that's the fund for the survivors of the massacre. If you guys know of a fund like that, absolutely support it. I think that's a good cause. We've got a comment here from Stan, clearly brilliant Stan, says Maddox is talking to God. Advection? I don't know what advection is. Undernet says that chick sounds like Malala Yousafzai levels of badassness. I'll give you that. Malala Yousafzai is more of a badass than I mean, I don't know. They're both pretty fucking cool, but Malala Yousafzai, I think she originally got shot in the head by terrorists, and then survived, and then went on to this like big crusade and campaign. I forget. It's been a long time since I looked into Malala's story. But anyway, we've got let's see, we've got some more comments here. This is from Quant Delpha. Quant says, white supremacists have killed more Americans since 9/11 than foreign terrorists or non-citizen residents. Yeah, I think that's true. 174 in the last 3 years. I just looked up that fact because I was arguing with a dipshit on Twitter. Speaking of Twitter, send me a DM if you guys want to join the conversation. I may be adding some people. Not sure yet. All right, yeah, we got some weirdos. I may be adding some people, though. Keep those super chats coming. We've got some more comments. This is from JP Splat. It says, been following you since 2001. Keep it up, Maddox. Oh. Following me from 2001, huh? What happened that year? Busted, dude. Fucking busted you. Busted your ass open. All right. Another comment from Quant Delpha says, been following you since 1978. Keep it up, Maddox. Oh. 1978, huh? What happened that year? Bunch of weirdos, man. All right, let's get on to the rest of these news stories. We've got, I think this is, this is the last story we've got. I'll be reading some more of these super chats. Keep them coming in, guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate the support. And we'll throw to Stan right when we're closing out the episode. But this is a call to boycott the Peter Rabbit movie that's coming out, because they made fun of food allergies. That's right. They're complaining about food bullying in this movie. Sony Pictures behind such hits as Ghostbusters 2016. Ghostbusters 2016, big hit. Included a sequence in Peter Rabbit where the main character and his friends throw blackberries at a character who is allergic to them. The character has to use an EpiPen to avoid going into anaphylactic shock. So a bunch of idiots complained, and of course, Sony apologized. Look at this shit. They said, we are truly sorry for depicting a book written for children with scarlet fever in a negative light. Jesus. This shit never fucking ends with these people, man. Says our film should not have made light of Peter Rabbit's arch nemesis, Mr. McGregor. It's a real fucking story, man. They said they shouldn't have made fun of his arch nemesis, Mr. McGregor, a fictional character. Being allergic to blackberries, even in a cartoonish, slapstick way. Yes, Sony, you should not have done that. It's the next big Sony hack coming. Big EpiPen is gonna hack you this time. This is just another attempt by Hollywood cashing in on anything familiar. Anyway, this Peter Rabbit story. Food allergy groups like the Kids with Food Allergies Foundation. It's a real fucking foundation, man. The Kid with Food Allergies Foundation and the Allergy and Asthma Network, AAN, actually issued warnings about this scene. Some parents are even calling for a boycott. Sounds like these morons are boycotting the ability to think. I'll tell you what they should do a movie about, guys. They should do a movie about a real rabbit that just humps everything in its path and then gets eaten by something better. You could call it Mealtime for Mr. Fox. Mealtime for Fox. How about that? Mealtime for... I'd watch that fucking movie over fucking Peter Rabbit. This bullshit. Well, anyway, what do you guys think? Is Sony right to apologize? Are these guys too sensitive? Man, get the fuck over this EpiPen. You can't even have a fucking EpiPen, a BlackBerry being thrown at a fictional character in a movie. Anyway, let's check in with Stan. I'll read some more comments right before we go, but that's about it for the news. Stan, any final words?
Hey, I appreciate you reaching out back here, and I tell you, I hope I'm not making everybody deaf in chat. That's my final word. How about that?
Yeah, well, thank you very much, Stan. Everyone, thanks Stan right now in the chat room.
You're welcome.
Thank you for doing such a good job. Thank you, Stan. Until next time, we'll check in with you again, and we're gonna read some more comments just before we close out this episode. See what we got here. JN says, some of the survivors can't pay for their medical bills because of our shitty healthcare system run by greed, lol. Poignant comment, JN. These greedy healthcare companies raising insurance prices, and politicians and lobbyists are raising prices so the victims of shooting massacres can't pay their bills. Lol. Fucking idiots. All right. Theus Ixion says, I used to respect Wabbits until Peter Rabbit corrupted me. All right. Thank you, Theus. We've got a super chat from Jamie Stroud. Said, been following you since 1969. Keep it up, Maddox. Oh, 1969, huh, Jamie? What happened that year? People came. That's what happened. Then we've got one final comment from Nebulous911. Says, will you read this comment? No, I will not read that comment. Sorry, Nebulous. Maybe next time. Guys, keep those super chats coming. This has been a great show because I'm your host, Maddox. If you guys appreciate and enjoy this news, send me some comments. Send me some money of encouragement. The super chats actually really help out. I appreciate those guys. And we're going to continue doing, I think, live callers on the show. If you guys have something to chime in on, this show is live every Friday. We're shooting for around 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific. That's what, like 10 o'clock Eastern, 11 o'clock. No one fucking knows what time it is over there. Always changing that shit. Keep it coming, guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that bell. You'll get the notifications right when I go live. I usually put a countdown timer on this very YouTube page. Anyway, guys, until next time, I'm Maddox. And don't forget, you're welcome.